next up, I'd like to welcome, I think it's Stuart or Greg that might be speaking from HMP Dumfries, who are also a new Is Your Neighbourhood project this year, and they're going to share a little bit about their wellbeing garden, which you saw a brief picture of. Stuart, are you there?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you. Hi.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Thank you very much for inviting us along, Stuart and Greg here from sunny Dumfries. Well, sunny there anyway in that picture. We introduced a wellbeing garden here, and it's officially opened this year. But that picture there takes us back to about 2019. We started this journey in 2018, really, properly, when we engaged with local NHS partners, and we started running activities for people in the community. So we invited the community into our garden. You can see there, we've got a 5-acre plot. There's not quite as much as that now because we've introduced some other things which I'll come on to later on. But we invited the community in through the NHS to start looking and supporting people living with dementia, all forms of dementia. So we invited 5 care homes in at that point. It was a new venture for us. We were very apprehensive about working with people living with dementia because we'd never been there, or we certainly didn't know that we'd been there already. So it was as I said, a new adventure, but our population is getting higher and higher. Probably we're sitting with over 50% of our population at this moment in time being over 50. And then a number over 60, a number over 70. So it's quite a lot of people in that age group. What we learned from that and those activities was that anybody can get dementia. It doesn't matter about your age. There's no different working with people living with dementia than others. They're just on a different journey, and we just need to work with them in a different way. Some of the activities that we introduced were the simplest activities, but generated lots of laughter and singing and telling of poems and telling of stories. And they'd be shelling peas or plucking sunflower seeds out of flowers. So it really kind of sparked our interest to progress and to learn a bit more and to see what we could do ourselves. And so if you want to ping on the next slide. We started working then with Trellis, who are going to speak later on, and we'd worked with Trellis before on a number of different things, but they kindly came down and supported not just our learning, but the learning of the people that we care for in the prison. So they started looking to see what we could introduce after Greg, who was in the last slide, building the man shed. We then progressed from the man shed into, well, what can we... And we've started to develop bits of land. But the land has been developed, and the design of it has really been based on those in prison. They came away with some crazy ideas about palm trees and what have you. So we had to structure their expectations as into what we could actually achieve and to the budget that we've got, because we don't have a very big budget. But Trellis helped us structure their expectations and come up with some kind of design ideas. Now, all the work, and Lindsay was saying there about coming and visiting in the gardens, and it is when you open the door and it is just a red door and a brick wall, and when you open that door, you're transported into Narnia, really. But all the work that's been conducted from the start to finish has been done by the people that we care for in here. Some people have had those skills already, but a lot didn't. We have people. Greg's a joiner. We've got other people who are brickies. We've got other people who have other skills that we've then passed on to some of the prisoners. And then they've progressed. So what you see there, the bridge in the background, all the paving in there, the furniture that's there was all built internally by the people that we look after here. So Trellis worked really, really closely with us, and we came up with this design. We then progressed that. If you move on to the next slide. We were hit by a couple of setbacks. This is the start of the pagoda that again was designed by the prisoners. They even made a wee prototype to make sure that it would work. But then throughout the winter, we then started looking to see what other things that we could do. So one of the things that we introduced was about working with the environment and trying to clear our carbon footprint and make it a wee bit greener. So we introduced 250 solar panels. Obviously, the cost for that was offset, and that was a national project, but we pitched up for it, so we got the 250 solar panels. Well done. I forgot the name for it. The solar panels. But then we started looking at what else could we do for the community, for the environment. So we changed all our fossil burning machines to electric machines, and then we started looking at what we could do for local communities. So then we started growing trees, and we grew probably about 1,500, maybe 1,500 trees that then were cascaded throughout Dumfries and Galway for different projects. Some of them were national, regional charitable projects, Tars Valley and the Woodland Trust, but some were just the Education Board, and we linked in with all secondary schools in Dumfries and Galway and gave every school trees for plant a tree for the national tree planting in November. So at the back of that, we continued working through the winter, and then if you go to the next slide. We now have this wellbeing garden, and that's it's flourished on from there, as in this was just prior to some of the flowers going in. What we can now, we have approximately 100 and I think 188 prisoners today. They have access to our gardens. They have access. You can see there's a marquee on the left-hand side. So we have family fun days in the gardens. We have different events, whether it be the coronation or the Queen's Jubilee. We also have football. We have a staff versus prisoners football out there. We have walking clubs. We have running clubs. We have, as I said, our population is of a general age now that it's progressing. So we have a group that go out there twice a week just to sit or do some gardening activities. We have other areas. Every area in the jail is catered for, really. So a big push for us was to, and our part of the vision for justice and our national policies all go towards supporting mental health and well-being. So this is our idea, but I go back to a lot of the ideas in that design there, or what you can see is all by prisoners. Yes, we had to structure some of their expectations, and yes, we had to curtail some of their ideas in regards to financial, what we could actually afford. But we have been supported by a number of partners, whether that be Trellis or whether it be the Rotary clubs and some of the timber merchants around here. We've worked in conjunction with all of those to develop what you can see there. This journey started back in 2018 when we were working with some of the local care homes living with dementia. And if you go into the last slide, we're now back to working with some of those care homes in the community. We're now 2 months. Yeah. 2 months into having care homes start to come back in, utilising the wellbeing garden, and they laugh that the staff and the people who come in and visit us have every Wednesday. It's really heartwarming. As I say, we're not a jail just for a jail's sake. We are trying to link into the community. And if anybody would like to come and visit, then I'm more than happy to introduce you to our garden. But we're not resting on our laurels. We're now developing other aspects of that garden into different activity areas or areas again for quiet contemplation. We're going to introduce a sensory garden for both staff and prisoners. We've introduced a memorial garden into the area as well. So it's work in progress, but as Lindsay said, it is nice. It is very nice, and people, not just the prisoners, but the community, are getting use of it just now. I think that's my 8 minutes.
Thank you so much. I will definitely be visiting. I think just honestly, it's incredible what you're achieving, and that you're looking out with the prison as well and into the community. And I think Lindsay shared something in the report about young prisoners coming from other prisons to do camp in your garden for their.
Yeah, we support HMYOI Polmont, who do the Duke of Edinburgh Award. So they come down and they camp in our gardens as part of one of their expedition badges and that.
I think that must be, well, I've never heard of that before, so I don't know whether it's unique in Scotland, UK, but in terms of your garden project, really hope that other prisons see the value and that it rolls out across.
Well, I mean, we're blessed with 5 acres, but I mean, not every jail's got that. But they do have gardens, so, and there are a lot of people chapping on the door to come and see what we're doing. So,
brilliant. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and I'm sure when we have a panel session, I'm sure there'll be some questions for you. So, thank you both again.
Okay, thank you.